guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Warriorstrade, what is going on, Dub Nation? Oh my goodness, we have got some absolutely massive news out of the Bay Area today. This is not your average off-season rumor. This is not a maybe someday type of headline. This is the real deal, confirmed, official, and absolutely shaking up the NBA landscape. The Golden State Warriors have just made a move that nobody saw coming. A move that could completely change the trajectory of this franchise. And honestly, it might just put them right back in the conversation for another championship run. We're talking about the Warriors adding a legit star player in a deal so unbelievable, so bold that I had to double-check 3 times to make sure it wasn't fake. But no, it's real. It's happening. The news broke earlier today from the biggest insiders in the game, and immediately the basketball world went into shock mode. Phones were blowing up. Social media went into meltdown. And Warriors fans everywhere were either screaming with excitement or sitting in stunned silence trying to process what just happened. The Golden State Warriors, led by Stephen Curry, have landed star forward Pascal Siakam in a blockbuster trade with the Indiana Pacers. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Pascal Siakam who helped lead the Toronto Raptors to an NBA title in 2019. The same Pascal Siakam who's a 2-time All-Star. The same Pascal Siakam who can score, rebound, pass, defend, and basically do everything you could possibly want from a modern forward. He's now wearing the blue and gold. Here's the deal. Their Warriors are sending Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Gary Payton, 2, and an unprotected 2026 first-round pick to Indiana in exchange for Siakam. That's the full package. And look, there's no sugar-coating it. That is a big price to pay. Kuminga at just 21 years old was really starting to break out. His athleticism, his energy, his ability to get to the rim, a lot of people saw him as the future of the franchise. Moody, while not as flashy, was a solid 2-way player with a lot of untapped potential. And Gary Payton. Yay, that's a fan favorite right there. An elite perimeter defender and one of the best hustle players in the league. On top of that, you're giving up a future first rounder with 0 protection. That's bold and it's risky. But here's the thing. Their Warriors aren't thinking about 2026. They're thinking about now. They're thinking about maximizing whatever time they have left with Steve Curry, still playing at an elite level. Steve is 37 years old, still a top 10 player in the NBA, still one of the greatest shooters to ever live, but the clock is ticking and the front office knows it. They tried the 2-timeline thing, balancing young talent with the veteran core, and honestly, it just didn't work. They got a title out of it in 2022, but last year exposed the flaws. Too much inconsistency from the young guys, too much pressure on Steve to carry the load. That's why this move makes so much sense. Pascal Siakam is not a project. He's not a maybe someday type of player. He's ready to help right now. He's 29 years old, still in his prime, and coming off a season where he averaged over 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. He can run the floor, he can create his own shot, he can post up smaller defenders. He can knock down the 3, and he can play lockdown defense on multiple positions. The versatility here is off the charts. And you put that next to Steve, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins. That's a dangerous combination. Let's imagine the new-look Warriors for a second. Steve at point guard, still the engine that makes everything run. Wiggins at the wing, capable of guarding the other team's best perimeter player and knocking down open looks. Draymond, the emotional leader and defensive quarterback, now with another versatile forward next to him, so he doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting. And then Siakam, a guy who can slide between the 3, the 4, and even the 5 in small ball lineups. That's a team that can play fast. They can switch everything on defense. They can space the floor, and they can attack mismatches. And let's not forget about the bench. Depending on what happens with Chris Paul, you might still have one of the best playmakers in the history of the game running the second unit. You've got Brandon Podziemski, who looks like a future star in the making with his shooting, vision, and poise. Trace Jackson-Davis, a young big man who's already showing signs of being a reliable contributor. Dario Saric, a smart veteran who can stretch the floor. There's depth, there's experience, and now there's an injection of fresh star power. The big question a lot of fans are asking right now is, was it worth it? Did the Warriors give up too much? And look, I get it. Losing Kuminga stings. He was exciting. He was young. And there's a real chance he turns into a special player. But championships are not won on what if. They're won on what is. And right now what is that Pascal Siakam makes the Warriors better immediately. He gives them a second reliable scorer next to Steve. He gives them size and athleticism they've been missing. He gives them another guy who can take over a game when needed. From the Pacers' perspective, this deal makes sense, too. They weren't going to resign long-term. And instead of losing him for nothing, they get a young potential star in Kuminga, a solid piece in Moody, and a proven defender in GP2. Plus, they get that unprotected 2026 pick, which could be incredibly valuable if the Warriors drop off in a couple of years. For Indiana, it's about the future. For Golden State, it's about the present. Now, let's talk about the Western Conference. This move just added another wrinkle to what was already a loaded playoff picture. Denver's still at the top with Jokic and Murray. Minnesota's coming. The Lakers are lurking. The Clippers are always dangerous when healthy. And then you've got the Suns, the Kings, and the Mavericks all fighting for position. Their Warriors before this trade were probably a play-in team at best. Now they're right back in that top 6 conversation. Maybe even higher if Siakam clicks immediately. And here's another underrated angle. This move takes pressure off everyone else. Steve doesn't have to go nuclear every single night just for the Warriors to have a chance. Draymond can focus more on defense and playmaking. Wiggins can slide into a more natural secondary scoring role. The bench can play their game without feeling like they have to save the starters. It just balances everything out. Maybe Draymond and Clay ride off into the sunset with another championship under their belts. Or maybe it doesn't work. That's the risk. But you can't win big without taking big swings. And today the Warriors just took a massive swing. If you're as pumped as I am about this, make sure to hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the updates as we head into what's shaping up to be an absolutely wild NBA season. The Golden State Warriors just reminded the league who they are, and something tells me they're not done yet.